Bobby Lee was a familiar face around town. At 45, he had spent countless hours under the hood of cars, fixing engines and changing tires at his small mechanic shop. His denim jacket was worn and faded, a testament to his years of hard work, while his sturdy work boots carried the dust of many long days. Despite his tough exterior, Bobby had a soft spot for music, often humming along to classic tunes while he worked. Every Friday night, the local karaoke bar became a second home for Bobby. It was a cozy place with mismatched tables and flickering neon lights that glowed softly in the dim atmosphere. The regulars filled the room, laughing and chatting as they waited for their chance to shine on stage. Bobby often dreamed of stepping up to that microphone, but every time he thought about it, his heart raced with nervousness. That evening felt different. There was a buzz in the air as he walked into the bar. He could hear familiar voices and laughter echoing from inside. As he took a seat at the bar, he noticed his friends encouraging him to take the stage. A mix of excitement and fear twisted in his stomach. "I can do this," Bobby whispered to himself, glancing at the karaoke machine where people were belting out their favorite songs. The thought of singing "Can't Help Falling in Love" sent shivers down his spine. It was one of his favorite Elvis songs and held a special meaning for him. With his friends' cheers ringing in his ears, he knew it was time to conquer his fears and give it a shot. He just hoped the crowd would be kind. The karaoke bar buzzed with energy, a lively haven for the small-town community. Mismatched tables filled the space, each one surrounded by regular patrons who had grown comfortable with the familiar faces and routines. Laughter echoed against the walls, and the flickering neon lights cast a warm glow over everyone inside. The air was thick with excitement, and the rich scent of popcorn mixed with beer lingered in the atmosphere, inviting people to relax and have fun. Tonight was special. It was karaoke night, and everyone in town seemed to be in attendance. Some were seated at the bar, drinks in hand, eagerly urging their friends to take the stage. Others stood near the microphone, nervously fidgeting while waiting for their turn. The mingling voices created a symphony of anticipation as each person shared their hopes of hitting the high notes, or delivering a crowd-pleasing performance. However, rowdiness was part of the charm. Playful banter and friendly heckling often flowed freely, especially from those who had already had a few drinks. If a singer faltered or missed a note, hearty laughter would erupt, sometimes turning into light-hearted teasing that kept everyone on their toes. Though it could be intimidating for newcomers like Bobby, the camaraderie among the regulars turned the night into a shared adventure that brought everyone together. As Bobby settled into his seat at the bar, he felt the warmth of that community spirit. The cheers and jeers were all part of the experience. He found comfort in knowing that he wasn't alone. With each song sung before him, he could feel his confidence growing, ready to take on the stage himself. As Bobby watched the performances unfold, a whirlwind of emotions swirled inside him. His heart raced, and his palms felt sweaty against the cool surface of the bar. He could hear laughter and cheers for those on stage, yet the thought of stepping into the spotlight filled him with dread. What if he forgot the lyrics? What if he stumbled over his words? The idea of being laughed at sent a chill down his spine. Bobby had always been shy, preferring to fix engines rather than face an audience. But tonight was different. With every passing moment, he reminded himself how much he loved music and how special "Can't Help Falling in Love" was to him. It wasn't just a song, it represented dreams and feelings he had tucked away for too long. If he could sing it well, maybe he would finally feel accepted by the crowd. He took a deep breath, glancing toward his friends who were shooting him encouraging smiles. Their eyes sparkled with enthusiasm, urging him to take that leap into the unknown. Bobby couldn't help but smile back, even as butterflies fluttered in his stomach. He imagined what it would be like to impress everyone, to have them cheer for him instead of jeering. As his name was called, Bobby stood up slowly, feeling both brave and terrified. He walked toward the stage as if it were a mountain he needed to climb. Each step felt heavier, but he reminded himself that this was his moment. Gripping the microphone tightly, he took one last deep breath before looking out at the audience. Determination flashed in his eyes as he began to sing. As Bobby stood at the microphone, The spotlight felt intense, almost blinding. He took a deep breath and began to sing the opening lines of "Can't Help Falling in Love." His voice trembled slightly as he struggled to find the right pitch. The notes that usually brought him comfort now felt slippery and out of reach. A few voices in the crowd quickly turned from cheering to murmuring as they noticed his shaky performance. "Get on with it, Bobby!" someone shouted, causing a ripple of laughter among the regulars. Another voice chimed in. "Is this karaoke or a funeral?" Each heckle pierced through his confidence, making him feel smaller with each passing moment. Bobby fought to focus on the song, but he could hear snickers and whispers echoing around him. He tried to regain control and inject some emotion into his singing. However, as he reached for the chorus, his nerves got the better of him. The lyrics slipped from his mind momentarily, leaving a painful pause that felt like an eternity. "Come on, Bobby! We want Elvis!" one patron yelled while others joined in with playful jeers, adding to his humiliation. Bobby glanced at his friends who were still cheering him on from their seats, but their encouragement felt distant amidst the noise. Embarrassment washed over him like a wave, and he could almost feel his cheeks burning as he struggled to continue. Emotional turmoil built inside him. He wanted nothing more than to disappear into the floor. Yet just as he thought all hope was lost and even considered stepping back from the stage entirely, something unexpected happened. The bar door swung open with a dramatic creak. As the door swung open, Bobby felt a flicker of hope, but it quickly faded as the jeers of the crowd resumed. "Come on, Bobby! Is that the best you've got?" echoed from the back, leeching away his courage. The laughter rang in his ears like a relentless taunt, drowning out any chance he had to focus on the song. Each negative comment hit him harder, making him feel smaller and smaller. He could see the faces of his friends among the regulars, their smiles turning sour as they recognized his struggle. He swallowed hard and tried to regain control of his voice, but each note felt like a battle he was losing. The chorus that he had practiced so many times now seemed unreachable. Panic gripped him tightly as he choked on the words, his mind racing wildly with thoughts of failure. Bobby glanced around at the crowd that once felt friendly, now transformed into a sea of critical eyes staring back at him. The laughter pierced through him like 1,000 tiny daggers, and suddenly it felt impossible to go on. The bright lights of the stage turned harsh, and he thought maybe it would be easier just to vanish right then and there. As he stood frozen in place with embarrassment flooding through him, doubt crept into his heart, whispering that perhaps this was not meant for him. "Maybe I should just step down," he thought desperately. Despair hung heavy in the air around him as he clutched the microphone tighter, wondering if it was time to give up on his performance. Just when hesitation threatened to fully consume him, something extraordinary happened outside that doorway caught his attention once more. Just as Bobby felt he might collapse under the weight of humiliation, the atmosphere in the bar shifted dramatically. The door swung open with a grand flourish, and all eyes turned toward the entrance. There, framed by the doorway, stood none other than Elvis Presley, radiating charisma and charm. Dressed in his iconic sequin jumpsuit, complete with a flamboyant collar and perfectly styled hair, he looked like he had just stepped out of a time machine. The air filled with gasps of disbelief as patrons recognized the king of rock and roll himself. Murmurs of excitement rippled through the crowd, overshadowing the earlier jeers directed at Bobby. Elvis's presence was magnetic. He exuded confidence that immediately captivated everyone in the room. He flashed a dazzling smile, which seemed to light up the entire bar, instantly shifting the mood from one of mockery to awe. "Ladies and gentlemen," Elvis boomed, his voice deep and smooth as honey, "let's have some fun tonight." With each word, he walked further into the bar, his every step drawing attention like a spotlight following him. The crowd erupted into cheers and applause, momentarily forgetting about Bobby's earlier struggles on stage. Elvis made his way toward Bobby, who stood frozen in shock. The legendary singer leaned in closer and said with an encouraging grin, "Mind if I join you?" Bobby could hardly believe it. This was a moment he never dreamed possible. The heckling faded into the background as excitement took over. Suddenly, Bobby wasn't alone anymore. With Elvis by his side, he felt a spark of hope reignite within him. As Elvis approached Bobby, the warm smile on his face seemed to light up the entire room. "Hey there, friend," he said in his smooth, melodic voice. "I've seen a lot of brave souls take the stage tonight, but you have something special." Bobby blinked in disbelief, his heart racing not just with anxiety but now with excitement as well. Elvis leaned closer, gently placing a hand on Bobby's shoulder. "Everyone gets nervous, even the king himself. Just remember, it's all about having fun and connecting with the music." His words wrapped around Bobby like a comforting blanket, easing some of the tension that had built up inside him. He felt more at ease knowing that someone so legendary believed in him. "Let's show them how it's done!" Elvis exclaimed, stepping back to take his position beside Bobby at the microphone. The crowd erupted into cheers once again, clearly thrilled by this unexpected duet. As they stood side by side, Elvis began to harmonize with Bobby's shaky notes, effortlessly guiding him through the song. With every note that escaped their lips together, Bobby felt his confidence flood back. The audience was no longer a source of laughter. They were captivated, swaying to the rhythm and singing along with enthusiasm. The earlier jeers faded into cheers as Elvis encouraged Bobby with nods and smiles, reminding him that he wasn't alone on this journey. As they reached the chorus together, Bobby surrendered to the magic of the moment, allowing himself to fully enjoy the experience. The warmth of Elvis's support transformed what had begun as a night of humiliation into an unforgettable celebration of music and friendship. As Elvis and Bobby began to sing together, the atmosphere in the bars shifted dramatically. The once critical crowd transformed into an enthusiastic audience, their earlier jeers replaced by cheers of encouragement. Bobby felt a surge of energy as he harmonized with the king himself, his nerves gradually melting away with each note they sang. The rich, velvety tones of Elvis's voice blended seamlessly with Bobby's, creating a beautiful harmony that resonated throughout the room. The audience swayed to the rhythm, completely captivated by the powerful duet unfolding before them. Bobby's heart swelled with joy as he realized he was no longer alone on stage. He had a legendary partner supporting him every step of the way. With each verse, the connection between Bobby and Elvis deepened, and Bobby's confidence soared. He began to smile genuinely, losing himself in the music and forgetting all about the earlier mockery. The song flowed effortlessly, and as they reached the chorus, Bobby found himself singing louder and with more passion than he ever thought possible. Elvis encouraged him with playful gestures and nods, making Bobby feel like a true star. The crowd joined in, singing along and clapping in time with the beat. Faces lit up with joy as people cheered for both performers, creating an electric atmosphere filled with camaraderie and celebration. As the final notes lingered in the air, the bar erupted into applause and cheers. Bobby beamed with pride, knowing he had turned what began as a moment of embarrassment into a triumphant performance. In that instant, he felt truly alive, embraced by the music and the spirit of friendship that surrounded him. As the duet continued, the atmosphere in the bar shifted palpably. The once critical hecklers transformed into enthusiastic fans, their voices rising in unison as they cheered for Bobby and Elvis. Patrons clapped and swayed to the rhythm, their earlier jeers forgotten in the warmth of the music. Faces lit up with joy as they recognized the magic unfolding before them, completely captivated by the harmonious blend of voices. Bobby couldn't believe his eyes as he looked out at the crowd. Everyone had joined together in a celebration of song and spirit. The energy was electric, an undeniable sense of unity permeating the room. "Go, Bobby!" someone shouted, while others echoed encouragement, creating a chorus of support that lifted him higher than he ever imagined. With each verse they sang, Bobby's confidence grew stronger. The laughter that once stung now morphed into cheers that filled him with pride. He noticed people standing on their chairs, waving their arms in delight, fully immersed in the performance. It was as if Elvis's presence had magically transformed not just Bobby's spirit but also that of everyone present. As they reached the final chorus, Bobby found himself singing with more passion than ever before. Encouraged by Elvis's infectious energy and the crowd's enthusiasm, he belted out every note with newfound strength. The audience swayed together like waves in an ocean, each person connected by the music. When they finished with a flourish, the bar erupted into applause and shouts of joy. Bobby stood there beaming, surrounded by cheers and celebration as he soaked in this moment of triumph, no longer just a mechanic but a star embraced by his community. As the final notes of the song echoed through the bar, a silence fell for just a moment before the crowd erupted into thunderous applause. Bobby stood at the microphone, heart racing and chest swelling with pride as he took in the scene around him. Faces glowed with excitement and joy, their cheers ringing in his ears like sweet music. It was a surreal moment, one he had never imagined possible just an hour ago. Elvis turned to Bobby, grinning from ear to ear. "You did it, my friend! You brought this place alive!" His words filled Bobby with warmth and a sense of belonging he had longed for. No longer just a mechanic in work boots and a denim jacket, Bobby felt like someone who had connected with others through the power of music. He looked out at the audience once more, seeing smiles and clapping hands aimed solely at him. It wasn't just about entertaining, it was about sharing an experience that united everyone in the room, a reminder that music could bridge gaps and create friendships. The earlier heckling now seemed like a distant memory washed away by waves of camaraderie. With tears of happiness threatening to spill over, Bobby realized he was respected not only for his brave performance, but also for simply being himself. He finally understood that vulnerability could lead to acceptance. Holding Elvis's gaze for a moment, he knew this night would stay etched in his heart forever. They hadn't just sang songs, they had sparked joy and connection in a small-town bar, turning an ordinary evening into something extraordinary. With renewed confidence radiating from within him, Bobby raised his arms in triumph as cheers continued to fill the air. He was finally home among friends. As the night wound down and the last echoes of laughter and music faded, the atmosphere in the bar remained charged with joy. Patrons lingered, sharing stories and reliving the magical duet they had just witnessed. Bobby, still basking in the afterglow of his performance, felt an overwhelming sense of connection with everyone around him. It was more than just a karaoke night. It was a celebration of community spirit and shared experiences. Friends and strangers alike exchanged smiles and high fives, united by the power of music. The walls of the bar, once filled with tension and jeers, now resonated with a warm camaraderie that enveloped each person present. Bobby found himself surrounded by a group of enthusiastic supporters, congratulating him on his performance. "You really brought down the house!" one fellow patron exclaimed, while another chimed in. "You're a natural up there!" In that moment, Bobby understood that he had not only entertained but had also woven himself into the fabric of their little community. The earlier embarrassment and anxiety dissipated like morning mist, replaced by pride and acceptance. He realized that it was okay to be vulnerable, that sharing his love for music had forged bonds that would last beyond this one night. As he looked around the room, he saw familiar faces lit up with happiness, all celebrating the power of music to bring people together. Bobby felt a deep sense of gratitude for this unforgettable experience, a night when he went from feeling small to being part of something bigger. It was a memory that would stay with him forever, reminding him of the magic that can happen when people come together to celebrate their passions.